Let's go through few scenarios for high availability in this video. First scenario is Azure VM with availability sets. In this scenario, to achieve high availability, we are placing Azure VM in the availability sets. What is an availability set in this case? An availability set is a logical grouping feature that ensures virtual machines are spread across multiple physical servers, compute racks, storage units, and network switches in the Microsoft data center. Let's think about the scenario. Imagine you are running an online store. You need to ensure that the website is always accessible to customers, even during maintenance or unexpected hardware failures. What Azure solution that we can use for this simple use case? That's going to be Azure Availability Sets. By placing your virtual machine in an availability set, Azure ensures that your VMs are distributed across multiple physical servers, storage units, and network switches. This means that if one part fails, the others remains unaffected, keeping your online store up and running. In this example, online store database is on one VM and the web server is on another. Both are in an availability set. If the server hosting the database VM crashes, the web server VM remains operational and Azure quickly brings the database VM back online on another server. Another scenario is Azure Load Balancer. In this scenario, to achieve high availability, we are placing Azure VM behind Azure Load Balancer. Let's think about a scenario in this case. You have a popular mobile game with thousands of players online at any given time. You need to ensure that the game's backend can handle the load and remain available even traffic spikes. What Azure solution that we can use for this simple use case? That is going to be Azure Load Balancer. Load Balancer will distribute incoming traffic across multiple VMs or services and will ensure no single VM gets overwhelmed. If one VM goes down, the load balancer directs traffic to the remaining healthy VMs. In this example, games backend services are spread across several VMs. The load balancer monitors their health and distributes players' traffic evenly. If one VM fails, the players are seamlessly redirected to the remaining VMs without any noticeable downtime. Another scenario is Azure App Service with deployment slots. In this scenario, to achieve high availability, we are using Azure App Service deployment slots. Let's think about the scenario. You are running a web application with frequent updates and you need to deploy new features without any downtime. What Azure solution that we can use for this use case? Azure App Service with deployment slots. You can deploy update to a staging slot and swap it with production slot seamlessly, ensuring zero downtime. In this example, you deploy a new version of your web app to the staging slot and test it thoroughly. Once satisfied, you swap the staging slot with the production slot. The new version goes live instantly without any downtime and users continue to enjoy uninterrupted service. Another scenario is Azure Site Recovery. In this scenario, to achieve high availability, we are using Azure Site Recovery. Let's think about the scenario in this case. You have a critical workloads running on premises and in Azure, and you need to ensure business continuity in case of a disaster. What Azure solution that we can use for this use case? That's going to be Azure Site Recovery. It can replicate on premises and Azure VM to another Azure region. In the event of disaster, you can fail over to the replicated VM with minimal downtime. In this example, your main office is in New York, but you have a backup setup in Azure's West US region. If a hurricane impacts New York, Azure Site Recovery allows you to quickly fail over your critical applications and data to the West US region, keeping business operational. The 4 example use cases that we discuss in this video will provide sufficient understanding now how availability can be orchestrated in Azure using various Azure services and constructs. Note that this is not the complete list of scenarios. Scenarios discussed will let you understand how Azure can help you to build highly scalable infrastructure.